Hi, today we're going to review a remediation plan together that I have created for a student to help out if any of you have a student with similar struggles. But before we get into that, I wanted to highlight why data-driven remediation is so important. So when we use assessment to guide our instruction, we're able to target the exact skills that students are missing, rather than just reteaching broad content. And when we do this, it leads to more efficient learning and higher engagement from our students. And students feel like this instruction is more meaningful. And then data-driven planning also helps us to personalize support to those students with gaps, as well as catching those gaps early. And overall, this will build students' confidence with meaningful progress. So the student that I focused on is a 6th grade male. He struggles with vocab and comprehension. He does not have an IEP, but he needs support during independent reading and whole class instruction. He also has a diagnosed anxiety disorder, but he has high interest in video games and soccer, which are things that we'll see used later on. So the standard that I'm focusing on with this student is going to be an Arizona State standard that focuses on determining or clarifying the meaning of unknown or multiple meaning words. So his short-term goal is to use context clues with teacher guidance, and then his long-term goal is going to be to apply multiple different vocabulary strategies on his own to determine meaning of words in a text. So to support him, we're going to incorporate digital tools like Flocabulary, which focuses on teaching vocab in a fun and meaningful way. And then 2 remediation activities we're going to use are going to be graphic organizer, word maps, which will break down new vocabulary and allow him to kind of start working through that, and then morphing card sorts. So that'll look like sorting root words, prefixes, and suffixes, and then coming up with the definition from there. And in this, we can tailor examples to gaming and soccer. We can use text about gaming and soccer, root words about gaming and soccer, just to tap into his interest and increase engagement and reduce anxiety. And then informal assessments that we're going to use are just going to be a little bit of verbal check-ins and observations. So teacher can observe a lot during a guided practice or even during group instruction, but at the end of a lesson or an activity, we'll do kind of a verbal check-in, and he'll explain how he figured out a word or what conclusion he came to. And both of these will provide immediate feedback for not only the teacher but the student as well, and then we can adjust instruction based on what he's showing he's able to do independently. And then we're going to track all of this progress within a journal that the teacher will kind of monitor actual scores and observations that she's made about strategies that he's using, and the student will reflect kind of on something that went really well, something he enjoyed, something he learned, and then some sort of a mini goal of like, next week I want to try this, and we'll do that with sentence stems to help the student. This will help monitor growth and give the student a sense of ownership in their learning, and then to include the parents in that, we'll send that journal home weekly. All of these strategies are in an effort to support this student's needs, and I believe that with all of this, we can do a good job of keeping remediation for this student focused and engaging, and I hope that that's helpful for any students that you have that are experiencing some of the same kinds of struggles.